Hello, dear learners. Welcome to your English class. As you know, we are doing chapter 1 from the book Movements, The Lost Child. Today we will be covering the final part of the chapter. In our previous lecture, we read that the child, when he was engrossed in watching intently or closely the roundabout, when he put an ardent desire in front of his parents that I want to go on to that roundabout, when he turned back, he did not find his parents there. And he gave a very loud cry. He was running hither and thither in various directions in order to find his parents, but he was very disappointed. Now let's see whether he has got his parents back or not, or who has helped him to get or to meet his parents back. So shall we start today's lecture? He ran quickly again, this time to a shrine to which people seemed to be crowding. Every little inch of space here was congested with men, and he ran through people's leg, his little sob lingering mother and father. So the child ran towards a shrine. Shrine is a religious place where there was a big crowd and everyone was struggling for even little inch of space because it was too congested, it was overcrowded, and he had to make his space by running through the people's legs. He kept on sobbing. He was lingering here and there, calling his mother and father. Near the entrance of the temple, however, the crowd became very thick. Men jostled each other, heavy men with flushing, murderous eyes and hefty shoulders. Because it was a religious place, it was expected to be overcrowded, and near the entrance, so it was the crowd became very thick. The people started pushing each other. They were pushing each other, heavy men. They were flushing with their murderous eyes and hefty shoulders. The poor child struggled to thrust away between their feet, but knocked to and fro by their brutal movements, he might have been trampled underfoot had he not shrieked at the highest pitch of his voice, "Mother, Father." You may have visited such kind of the places where it is a big crowd and people don't bother about others instead of their, what you can say, blind religious faiths. So they just pushed each other. There are violent outbursts. Nobody bothers whether they are hurting others or not. The child was about to be crushed by someone's feet, or they were pushing the child with their brutal movements. He was crying loudly. Somebody would have crushed him in that big crowd if he had not shrieked or cried at the highest pitch of his voice. That's why he could make a space for himself even among the crowd. A man in the surging crowd heard his cry. The crowd was increasing. It was getting greater and greater. And there was a man who heard that little boy's cry. Stooping with great difficulty, he bent with great difficulty, lifted him up in his arm. "How did you get here, child? Whose baby are you?" the man asked as he stayed clear of the mass. The child wept more bitterly than ever now and only cried, "I want my mother, I want my father." The man, the kind man, he took the child and he asked him whose baby he was, and he cleared the crowd for him. The child, when he found a soft person, when he found some sympathetic words, some kind words, he started even crying louder, and he kept on saying, "I want my mother, I want my father." The man tried to soothe him by taking him to the roundabout. Now the child was not stopped crying, rather he was crying louder and louder. He tried to divert his attention and he took him towards the roundabout. "Will you have a ride on the horse?" he gently asked as he approached the ring. When they reached near the ring, he offered him that, "Would you like to have a ride on this horse or on this ring?" The child's throat tore into thousand shrill sobs. He only shouted, "I want my mother, I want my father." He had no interest in the roundabout, or he did not want to enjoy the ride on the roundabout. That was nothing there in his mind at all. He just want his parents back. if you carefully observe the picture, you can see what kind of the various sights which we have discussed in the chapter. The show by a snake charmer is there, a balloon seller is there, a roundabout is there, a motley of people is there, and the let small child whose yellow turban is untied. He's crying bitterly, and a kind man is there who bent to pick the child in his arms in order to get him, console him, or in order to make him stop crying. The man headed towards the place where the snake charmer still played on the flute, on to the swaying cobra. Listen to that nice music, child, he pleaded. Now that in order to make the child calm, in order to pacify the child, he took him to the snake charmer and he told him that, see, listen to this nice piece of music, how beautifully uncle is playing the music, see that snake. He tried to divert his attention, but the child shut his ears with his fingers and shouted with double pitched strain, I want my mother, I want my father. The child was least interested to listen or to watch anything else. He just he wanted his parents back. That's why he kept on saying, I want my mother, I want my father. The man took him near the balloons, thinking the bright colors of the balloons would distract the child's attention and quieten him. Would you like a rainbow colored balloon? He persuasively asked. The child turned his eyes from the flying balloons, just sobbed, I want my mother, I want my father. The man tried to distract the child by taking him to a balloon seller, and he offered him to buy a rainbow colored balloon, but this did not attract the child, lure the child, and he turned his face away from the balloon seller. He only kept on saying, I want my mother, I want my father. The man, still trying to make the child happy, bore him to the gate where the flower seller said, look, can you smell these nice flowers? Child, would you like a garland to put around your neck? Now he tried to divert the attention. He offered him to buy a garland of flowers, which he earlier wanted. He was desperate to have all those things. Few moments before, he wanted to enjoy the roundabouts. He wanted to listen to that snake charmer's music. He wanted to get that rainbow color balloons. He wanted to have that garland of gulmohar flowers. Now the kind man was ready to buy anything for him from the fair, and he kept on refusing. Rather, he insisted to say only one thing, that I want my mother, I want my father. The child turned his nose away from the basket and reiterated his sob, I want my mother, I want my father. The child did not show any interest in buying that garland of flowers. He kept his nose away from the basket and retreated. Retreated means to repeat that has been already said, or to repeat again and again. He kept on repeating and sobbing that I want my mother, I want my father. Thinking to humor his disconsolate charge by a gift of sweets, the man took him to the counter of the sweet shop. What sweets would you like, child? He asked. The child turned his face from the sweet shop and only sobbed, I want my mother, I want my father. The kind man, he tried to make the child happy, make that depressed or unhappy child pacify or calm. He took him at the counter of the sweet shop. Maybe the sweet would lure the child, and he offered him that which sweet he would like to buy or he would like to have. But the child did not have any interest in the sweets too. He turned his face away from the sweet shop and kept on saying, I want my father, I want my mother. So students, see, in the beginning of the chapter, the child had a great interest or a keen interest in buying so many things in the fair. But when he lost his parents, all the interesting or attractive things lost their charm for him. He didn't have even the least interest in buying any of the things. So it shows that our parents are too important for us. Our life is nothing without them. And sometimes if our wishes or desires are not completed by our parents, so it doesn't mean that they don't love us. It shows that they want us to be more obedient, to follow the good deeds, not to waste the money on the unnecessary things. That's why they decline our few requests, or they do not complete our few, what you can say, desires. So the similar way, the child loves the parents most. The things show no interest for him. This is the end of the chapter. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next chapter. Have a great day.